This time on Word on the Street, an exclusive look into a movie being filmed right here in Iowa City.
And a breakdown of the Emmys this weekend along with our predictions. So sit back,
Relax,
and here's the Word on the Street.
Welcome back to the first episode of Season 2 of Word on the Street. I'm Grace Lathrop.
And I'm Hannah Lipsky, and we are so excited to be back here and give you all of your latest entertainment updates. But first, Grace, please tell me about your amazing summer.
It was great. I spent the summer in Rome, and I interned for Vatican News, which was so cool. So I got first dibs on all the cool things the Pope was doing, and Vatican City as well. I traveled to 6 different countries, 8 different cities. Had a blast.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. How was your summer, Hannah?
It was fine. It was summer. I worked at a concert venue, so I did see some pretty cool shows. I saw Hoser, I saw Kesha, and then my last show that I worked there was Big Time Rush, which was kind of like a big full circle moment because they were the first concert I've ever seen was Big Time Rush, so that was fun. And I just kind of relaxed and I took the summer to myself.
That's
honestly,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, as you should. Yeah. Well, one thing I will say is although I loved being in Europe, I was a little sad to not be in Iowa City towards the end of summer because a movie was actually being filmed downtown, which is so cool. And Death of a Brewer is an independent film about the Iowa beer caves and beer mafia in the 1800s. Yeah. And although I was not able to see the filming downtown for myself, DITV's Annika Perez was able to stop by.
So we're going to toss over to her now so she can tell us a little bit about that experience. So Annika, take it away.
Thanks, ladies. I arrived on set around 6 a.m. and the set was pretty empty with most of the crew just starting to set up, so I had plenty of time to see how it worked. It was being filmed at St. Mary's Church in Iowa City, and there were multiple trucks for equipment and a couple cars with sound equipment as well. I got to see the new sign for the church installed, as well as seeing the snack and drink station being set up. Most of the actors were told to go into the church. However, I did see a couple actors as they were preparing for the scene. You can see them right here with their costumes, which I thought was super cool, especially because the producer said that they were donated by a local school. And he also mentioned that the Iowa Nice was really what he relied on for extras and places to shoot. Something I didn't mention in the package is that when I talked to the production sound mixer, he mentioned he also worked for DITV, which seemed like a really full circle moment. Overall, there were so many people helping set up, and it was all quite interesting to see. Let's take a look. I am here at St. Mary's Church, where less than a month ago, a scene from the new movie Death of a Brewer was filmed. The movie started filming on July 28, 2025, and is expected to wrap up early this September. The filming took place in Iowa City and had resulted in multiple street closings for shooting. Death of a Brewer is based on a book titled Beer Money, A Tale of the Iowa City Beer Mafia by S.C. Sherman. The movie is written and directed by Makotsi Rakundo and is produced by Doug Alberhaski.
So it deals with the beer riots in Iowa City in 1884. It pits the 3 breweries along Market Street known as the Beer Mafia against the Sons of Temperance. And it led to the prosecutor for the Sons of Temperance being tarred and feathered.
The movie has relied on numerous community partners for shooting locations, including the City of Iowa City, St. Mary's Church, and the University of Iowa. For wardrobe, a local performing arts high school has donated their costume. Local community members were also invited to be extras in the film.
It was still a really fun and involved process. The scene they were filming that day was like an election scene. It was inside the old Capitol, actually, which was really cool.
Beyond just the actors, the PA production assistant stated it has been an amazing experience working with the crew and with an amazing director. The production sound mixer stated that the movie was one of the most rewarding challenges to work on. The movie will release on October 9th at the Great American Beer Festival in Denver, Colorado. I'm Annika Perez, DITV.
So I wanted to be a part of the Death of the Brewer buzz somehow, and I was really interested about the man behind the film, Doug Alberhaski. So I sat down with him. He's the producer and he's the business owner of John's Grocery right downtown, to talk more about what it was like making this type of film. I will say this was one of my favorite interviews that I've gotten to do so far. And Doug really inspired me to chase after my own dreams. And he had this crazy vision that was really stacked against him, and it came true. And now it's going to be super great and successful, and I can't wait to see it. So the film has some pretty big names in it, actually, including Mina Suvari from American Pie, Tyler Posey from Teen Wolf, Jefferson White from Yellowstone, and last but not least, Crispin Glover, who plays everyone's favorite on-screen dad in Back to the Future. Like I said, the odds were stacked pretty heavily against him, but with resilience and a wonderful team and the Iowa nice culture, he was really able to defy all the odds. So let's take a look at his inspiring story.
My name is Doug Alberhaske. I am the store manager and owner of John's Grocery. I started working here when I was 6 and haven't looked back since.
Alberhaske's family has lived in Iowa City for 7 generations, and just 14 years ago, he was introduced to a local hidden gem with familial ties, the Beer Caves.
When I realized how much my family was involved in the whole story, I really got into it. We took about 80 people down in the Beer Caves, and one of the guys that went down was so enamored with the story that we told that he decided to write a book, and that's that one right there, Beer Money.
Beer Money is the novel in which the screenplay for Death of a Brewer is based on. Getting the ball rolling on a film like this is not easy, but with persistence and hope, Alberhaske defied the odds.
We started with a story, an amazing story, and an amazing book, and an amazing screenplay, and then kind of went from there.
This film is completely independent, and although this gave Alberhaske more freedom, it limited his budget. But with an incredible casting crew and the help from the local community, anything was possible.
I really love the fact that they said that, you know, we're making a $20 million movie for under $2 million. And it was because of our sets, because of our locations. We were at the old Capitol, we were at St. Mary's, we're up in Oakland Cemetery, we're at the Vonnegut House.
Alberhaske expressed his immense gratitude for the Iowa City community and has big hopes for the film's future.
I really think that this is going to do for the beer industry what Field of Dreams did for baseball. The fact that a bunch of rookies absolutely nailed it out of the park kind of shows you know, what the Iowa work ethic is, and the fact that we can do anything if we put our mind to it. And as an optimist member, make your optimism come true is truly one thing that I believe in, and we truly did.
The official trailer for the film will be released at the Great American Beer Festival on October 8th. This is Grace Lathrop, DITV Arts and Culture.
And it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's Emmy season, which means we've got a lot of great shows to talk about and predictions to cover. And this year's comedy category is coming in hot. Let's take a look.
Yeah, for Outstanding Comedy Series, we have 8 different shows that are nominated, including Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, Shrinking, The Studio, and What We Do in the Shadows.
And the newest season of The Bear, I will say, was kind of a flop. I'm usually a huge advocate for The Bear, but I couldn't even get through it. It just wasn't very good.
I know, you love that show. And I know we talked about this last year, but it's just weird to me that it's in the comedy category. I feel like it's much more of a drama. There are obviously comedic elements, but I just feel like it just doesn't fit there.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a dry comedic standard, especially Jeremy Allen White. I would even, Shameless, like what he was known for before this, was funny, but not slapstick comedy worthy.
Definitely.
So I think it's just kind of his niche and his box. But I will say I am a huge fan of Nobody Wants This. That's one of my favorite shows. I've watched it twice, and I'm so excited for season 2 to come, and it's much more of a comedy than The Bear is.
What's it about?
It's about this girl who starts dating a Jewish rabbi.
Oh,
and she kind of gets wrapped into that a little bit and kind of that culture and has to live up to that standard. It has Kristen Bell in it. She's wonderful. And the new nomination in this category is The Studio. Which I've heard some really great things about, and I think that's who I'm going to root for this season as well.
Yeah, I mean, Seth Rogen is just funny, like, in general. I feel like he's just been a big name in comedy for a while, so, like, I'm definitely not going to throw him out, but we'll see what happens.
I think it's pretty similar from last year. I know Shrinking is pretty up and coming. That's about a therapist who decides to start telling his patients exactly how he feels and exactly what he thinks, which is interesting. That'll be a great one. Jason Segel's in that. So just some some good options here.
Yeah, I mean, Shrinking, the cast is stacked with Harrison Ford, Jason Segel, and Heidi Gardner from SNL. So, like, a lot of big names. And my parents absolutely loved this show. They would talk about it nonstop and just how funny it is. And, like, I would just hear them cackling, like, every night when they were watching it. But Abbott Elementary, I know, is a fan favorite, so we'll kind of see what happens there. I know it hasn't gotten the awards in the last few seasons, but it is the traditional, like, more comedy, as I would think a comedy would be, you know?
Yeah.
I think Abbott Elementary.
And I know last year, I believe Hacks won in this category.
Which was kind of
Actually
out of
swept.
nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've heard very mixed things about that show. So I'm kind of interested to see. I'm really, for my predictions this year in this category, I'm really rooting for the studio. It's something new and fresh, and I think that that's what we need.
I'm rooting for Shrinking just because of everything I've heard about it. I've watched it a little bit with my parents, and it is really funny. And I mean, some of the scenes are just absolutely ridiculous. And for a best comedy, I feel like that would just fit it the most.
Absolutely. Both are great options. They're new, they're upcoming, and I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah.
A lot of these shows would not be the same without their amazing cast and crew. So let's see who's nominated for the lead actor in a comedy series. Adam Brody, Seth Rogen, Jason Segel, Martin Short, and Jeremy Allen White are all up for the title.
And for lead actress in a comedy series, we have Uzo Aduba from The Resident, Kristen Bell from Nobody Wants This, Quinta Brunson from Abbott Elementary, Ayo Edebiri from The Bear, and Jean Smart from Hacks.
And I know last year, Jeremy Allen White and Jean Smart both won these awards. Jean Smart and the rest of the cast and crew of Hacks completely stole the show. But I'm kind of hoping for a different outcome this year. She's great. I know it's kind of an all-female cast, which is really awesome.
It was a big deal for definitely.
Yeah. But I'm personally rooting for Seth Rogen this year from the studio. I think that we really need to see a shake up a little bit and welcome this new show into the mix.
What about for your actress?
For my actress, I have to say Ayo Edebiri. She's so good in the Bear. And I know the Bear is kind of comedy, kind of not, but she is kind of the glue that holds that show together.
Definitely. And I personally loved Only Murders in the Building, so I'm going to predict Martin Short. I think he definitely deserves this award, and he is the comedy in this show. I mean, the one-liners he has, his character is just so... I don't even know how to describe it. Just so like
he's so funny.
He's just so funny, and like he's just like everything is like chaotic all the time, and you just can't help but laugh. It's like a train wreck waiting to happen. That's how I describe it, but it's hilarious.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna agree with Ayo as well. I just think that she's phenomenal in The Bear, and you know, again, I don't see it as a comedy. I don't really see her. I mean, her character maybe is a little bit more comedic than most, but. I mean, she's just phenomenal, but I think this category puts her at a disadvantage. But if not for her, I'm going to go Uzo Aduba. In The Resident, she was great. The series was just one season, and it's short. And it's a funny murder mystery, which usually doesn't go well together, but it was just great. And she did fantastic in the role. And she was the sarcastic, like, dry character, and just literally just played it very well.
Yeah, I agree with those. I think Seth Rogen and Martin Short it's going to be a very, very tight lead along with Ayo Edebiri. But I'm also kind of rooting for Kristen Bell a little bit, and Nobody Wants This. Out of all the shows in the category, I feel like this one is a true comedy.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it might not be as serious, but that's what the category is for.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm kind of rooting for that, but we'll see. It could be anyone's game.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jeremy Allen White will win again. He's kind of like the Emmys, like, golden child at this point. And I think Jean Smart might win as well. But I hope my predictions come true. But if not, I think they're gonna go with the last year winners. Yeah,
I agree. But moving on from comedy a little bit, the nominees for the best drama series are Andor, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, Paradise, The Pit, Severance, Slow Horses, and White Lotus. Now, I'm not personally as familiar with these titles as the comedy ones, although I do know White Lotus pretty much broke the internet last year with Patrick Schwarzenegger starring in it. Out of all these shows, I would argue that one was probably the most popular pick. But what do you think?
I mean, I actually am more familiar with the dramas. That's just how I roll. I just like them more the comedies. But I haven't seen White Lotus yet. I've heard amazing things about it, and I know that it's something that I would enjoy.
Yep.
But I got it torn between The Last of Us and Severance. Those are probably my favorite two from this category. Both shows had enormous budgets. Like, we're talking like tens of millions of dollars for an episode.
Yeah.
Streaming has really changed the game with TV now. We can put these millions of dollars and all this time into episodes and make them hour and a half long. It's insane. And I love The Last of Us, but I'm gonna go with Severance. I absolutely loved this show. I know you didn't like it, Grace, but I'm obsessed.
I have not seen The Last of Us. I actually have heard really good things. Pedro Pascal is so good.
Yeah.
And he just seems like such a nice guy. But yeah, I have not. I've seen Severance.
Yeah, and you didn't like it.
I will say it's probably not my cup of tea, but it's a little too sci-fi
I know,
weird for
and I
me,
love that.
but it has gotten great, resounding
Yes.
things. I just sometimes, when shows are on Apple TV, it really limits you. I feel like
Yeah.
my subscription runs
Definitely.
out, and then it's not as free-willing as the other platforms, but
No,
it's
I
okay.
agree.
I'm predicting that White Lotus is going to win this
Okay.
year. They weren't nominated last year, so I'm thinking this will be the start of something new for this cast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm predicting Severance. I have to give it to them. This last season was absolutely incredible. I could see like how people were hesitant with season 1. It was very long and you really had to stay in there and like be in there for the story. Season 2 just knocked it out of the park. I mean, there was so much going on, and they just knew how to play tension. They knew how to just draw you in. And I could just talk about how they were just such experts with suspension, tension, and how they used color and just like how they made you feel like claustrophobic. I mean, this show was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
it
was
does.
obsessed with it, but I love that stuff. And season 2 was just absolutely phenomenal. I just can't say anything.
It did make me feel very uncomfortable when I
Yes,
watched it, which
and
I
that's
know
good
was the
TV.
goal.
That is
So,
good. Yes.
Yeah, I will give them that.
Yes. And continuing with drama, here are their nominees for Outstanding Lead Actor: Sterling K. Brown, Gary Oldman, Pedro Pascal, Adam Scott, and Noah Wyle.
And for lead actresses and nominees, we have Kathy Bates, Sharon Horgan, Britt Lauer, Bella Ramsey, and Kerry Russell. And this one I think is going to be a little
Yes.
tough.
I think it's not as clear for the drama category. I could see almost any of them winning for both actor and actress, but I mean, a lot of these shows had just really great years, and it's just phenomenal cast, phenomenal choices. I am gonna go for my prediction. I really want Adam Scott from Severance, and I want Britt Lauer again from Severance. But another one that I could see would be Kathy Bates. She's been in the scene for a while. I mean, I started really getting into her during American Horror Story, and she was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think she gets enough flowers for what she does. But these actors in Severance, they not only played one role, but they played two. So the premise is you have these two actors that basically sever their character. So when they're at work, they're someone else, and then they leave, and then they're outie. So they're playing two different versions of themselves. And not to spoil anything, but as you get more into the series, you kind of see both characters unraveling, and you can see them growing closer and closer to each other. And at one point, Britt has to play her outie character as her innie, and you can see like how she's trying to give you like these hints that she's not her innie, but like she just does it in such a great, phenomenal way that like you really have to pay attention to pick up that it's not her innie character, that it's her outie. And they just do such amazing jobs within. I just really think they deserve it for the work they put in.
Yeah, that show definitely is interesting. Adam Scott's he is very, very good at it.
He's
I
so
will say.
good.
And I think there's no other show like this, so it's really hard
Yeah.
to like
Definitely.
like see someone else do it and say I'm going to do something similar to that, because it's just so weird and unique. So I have to agree with you. I'm kind of rooting for the Severance cast too. Out of all the shows, I feel like they're kind of the ones that should get this this award. So, kind of exciting stuff, but we will have to see. And of course, the Emmys in these shows would not be them without the writing behind it.
Of course.
And being at the Writing University and Journalism majors, we can't skip over this category.
No, of course. I could not agree more. Writers don't get enough credit, and without them, there wouldn't even be an idea for the show. So here are the nominations for Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series.
Abbott Elementary, Hacks, The Rehearsal, Somebody Somewhere, The Studio, and What We Do in the Shadows.
And for the drama category, the nominees are Andor, The Pit, Twice, Severance, Slow Horses, and The White Lotus. Now, I predict that the studio writers, Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, Peter Hunyak, Alex Gregory, and Frida Perez will win this award. I haven't seen this show. I've heard amazing things about it. And I just think Seth Rogen is a great comedian, and I just think he's a great writer.
I'm going to have to agree. I'm really hoping that this show wins because it's about a movie studio, too, which is so cool. And the premise of it is that you're trying to balance these big higher-ups that want you to promote things a certain way, but you kind of want to keep the heart and the soul of the movie and the film at its core. And so finding that balance in a comedic sense and Seth Rogen, I would have to agree. I think that I'm hoping that this one kind of takes the cake.
Yeah. And for drama, again, I'm going to go with writer Dan Eckerson. In Severance, this show was just so well done, and you could tell how detailed the writing was. There were things that happened that were so ominous in season 1 that were brought back into season 2 that were important that you never would have thought. You could just tell the writers took a lot of time, and you could just tell it was calculated in the best way. And there are elements of comedy to it that some of the characters bring, and it's just written so perfectly with how you figure out the innie versus the outie and how these characters are in their outside world and how they kind of bring that personality in. And I just cannot wait for the next season. And I don't want to forget to mention, but they actually are the leading show for this year's Emmys with 27 nominations. And I'm really surprised also The Last of Us did not get nominated for this category.
That is kind of weird too. I feel like this category is usually pretty much the same for best shows, but I think the unique thing about Severance too is in the first couple episodes at least, there's not a whole lot of talking.
No.
There's a lot of walking and thinking, but we have to remember that that's still writing. That's still writing those cues and making sure that vision
stage direction is definitely
on the page. So kudos to them. Like seriously, amazing work. I don't know how
you come up with this idea. It's great.
But these are just some very, very small amount of the many categories at the 77th. Can't believe that Emmy Awards. And coming up at Hansher, we've got a great set of shows for the 2025-2026 season. We already bought tickets for the Joffrey Ballet.
Of course.
Which we just had to go to. So super excited for that in March. But let's take a look at some of the traveling Broadway performances coming.
Kinky Boots, Clue on Stage, The Music Man, Beetlejuice, and Rent live in concert. These are all smashing hits that students, including myself, are excited for. And Hansher even ran a special promotion last week that offered students discounted prices for all performances, including the Broadway shows. So hopefully they took advantage.
Yeah, it was a great deal. I know I was online looking, and I really like that because I think Hansher is really trying to get a full audience, which I don't blame them. They should want that. And usually these tickets are quite expensive.
Yes, definitely.
Very, very expensive. But I am so excited about these shows.
Very diverse pick this year. I mean, Kinky Boots is about drag queens,
pretty much,
which is very, I think, prevalent today about political opinions. So I think it's a good show to just bring in some conversation. Beetlejuice, which was on Broadway for a bit, right after COVID, and got a huge amount of following, and then the new movie came out. So I think that's a really good one. Includes a classic murder mystery. Who doesn't love it? Just a good season all around.
Yeah, I am definitely most excited for The Music Man. That is one of my favorite shows. And the main
You got to see it live, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, you ready to?
The main character is from Iowa. So I feel like what better than to have it in Iowa City. I saw this on Broadway when Hugh Jackman was in it and Sutton Foster. So I'm just so excited. I'm a little bit worried it's not going to live up to that expectation. But
definitely won't. It's Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman.
The storyline is really, really cute. So I am super, super excited. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode and our first episode of the season of Word on the Street.
We will be here every week to give you your full entertainment rundown.
Tune in to DITV Live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 8:30 a.m. to learn more about arts and culture events in Iowa City.
Until then, I'm Hannah Lipsky.
And I'm Grace Lathrop, and we will see you next time on
Word on the Street.